Everybody, Andrew Garda from the Montclair Local here at Woodman Field, where third time was not the charm, as Montclair has its first three-game home losing streak in probably a decade, as they fall to Clifton 28-23. And it's a game that at first everything started off really well for the Mounties. An interception set them up for a really nice quick score, and then a scoop and score fumble return for a touchdown by Jaheim Lowe puts the Mounties up 13-0. And then Clifton settles down. And if Clifton's not necessarily a dominating offensive team, they just sort of chip at you. And that's what they did. And, you know, they played good football. They played disciplined football. And Montclair's offense just wasn't really able to get going. But this was one of Montclair's better games, you know, since the Bloomfield beatdown in week 1. This is a game that Montclair was in control of for a lot of the time, played very well for good chunks of the game, but at the end of the day, just couldn't hang with a Clifton team that, I mean, this is one that they really should have been able to steal. This should have been a game that evens them up into the 2 wins, 2 losses. And at the end of the day, you know, they just couldn't really get it together. You know, it's disappointing to watch the team sort of, I don't even want to say fall apart, but start to drag in the latter half of a game. And, you know, they still, on defense, even though the defense has played very, very well this season generally, you know, they're still missing tackles and stuff. And that only gets worse later in the game when they get tired, and especially when, you know, Montclair was coming back near the end, but they were down significantly. It was going to take a huge play defensively to turn things around, and defense just ran out of gas. You know, it's difficult to exactly know how Montclair is going to continue on from here on out. You know, does John Fiore start playing some of the younger kids and get them ready for next year? Or, you know, when does he pull the ripcord on some of the seniors? It's very difficult things for Fiore and his staff to figure out, and not something that Montclair, I think, in general is really used to having to worry about. Behringer next week. Theoretically, we will find out early in the week whether or not they have passed their COVID tests, and they haven't practiced or played in 2 weeks because they had a positive COVID test. And you know, that's not that uncommon. I mean, this Clifton game came about because Livingston caught a positive test. Montclair boys soccer had a game canceled earlier today against Millburn because Millburn caught a test. Morristown Beard caught their second positive COVID test, canceling an MKA game today. You know, so far Montclair's been able to dodge that because, for the most part, the teams have been very disciplined and they're very focused on finishing the season. So, you know, the advantage for Montclair is they may be coming up on a Behringer team that hasn't practiced all that much, hasn't, you know, played in 2 weeks. And, you know, we don't know how good or how polished they're going to be, but all Montclair can do is take care of themselves. And so if that means, you know, throwing a couple of different players in, if that means, you know, more tackling drills, I mean, Coach Bittner said, you know, they practice tackling every day, and yet, you know, they get on the field, they tackle high, they arm tackle, they just miss. You know, that's got to get straight. They got to avoid the bad penalties. They got to avoid, you know, chirping back at either officials or at other players. You know, this is a tough season, and it's hard for the kids to do that. But they have to find a way to do that if they want to turn things around. There are only a couple more games left. They could still come away with a 500 year at least. Maybe even sneak into one of those extra ball games. If Montclair wants to do that, they really need to start it right here. This game against Behringer at Woodman next week is the turning point, or it just sets up Irvington the week after as a grace note. We'll be here for that, and of course all Montclair sports for the Montclair Local. This is Andrew Garda, and I will see you guys later on.